Motivation is a bad word. Motivation is a word that if somebody uses, is like, oh my God, what did you say? You can't use this word here. Why is it a bad word? Because it doesn't last.
Ashdin Doctor.
Ashdin Doctor, the habit coach.
He's the habit coach. You build your relationship with habits.
Which is ranked amongst the top 10 in the personal development space in India.
क्या बात है?
Kya baat hai? Love it. In the book, I talk about the 3 golden rules of habit change.
Yeah.
Every time you have an excuse, you realize that the habit is not extremely easy. And which is why we become experts at excuses. Communication habits, I think, are a big one.
Like?
So these habits are very, very simple to change. You change them once, they last you for the rest of your life.
Am I spending all this time on Instagram?
The toughest habit is phone addiction, right? I can see people behind the scenes exactly doing that right now as well. So there are multiple ways of tracking your habits. Creating those habits is very important for us.
And why?
Many people say, I'm not consistent. And I start something and I stop it. So the goal here is
What are the 3 most important habits that you have in your life right now?
So for me, the habit of creation. Creation means, are you building something with what you're doing? You know, as human beings, we have been given 2 hands, we've been given a mind to constantly start building things. And most of us are not creating. And as a result, that creative energy is just diluted in our life. We have become consumers more than creators. So we spend more time watching TV, something that somebody else has created. We spend more time reading books, something that somebody else has created, but we're not creating our own things. So for me, a large part of my day is in creation mode, which is either writing books, working on new products for the habit coaching thing, working on something or the other. So that is one habit that I thoroughly love. Like I said, I write all my episodes, so 750 words every day at 5:30 or 6 in the morning.
Wow.
The second habit is, I think, journaling and meditation. So journaling is important because it gets all the junk that you have in your mind out on paper. So then there's clarity. Most of us have this issue saying that I have so many thoughts, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm so overwhelmed. When you start putting it down, clarity comes in. So the ability to have control over your mind, I think, is something that this gives you and this teaches you. And then the final thing, I think, are your sleep habits. So, you know, it's not about how long you sleep. So I sleep about 6.5 hours, 7. But I wake up without an alarm. I wake up perfectly fresh. It is the way that you sleep, the style that you sleep, and how you prepare for your sleep. So you get deep sleep at that time. So I think these 3 are very big habits that take a while for others to develop.
But why do we need habits?
So it's not that we need habits, it's that our entire life are nothing but habits. So if you understand that every single action that you are taking, that you've taken before, is now becoming a habit slowly, then you start saying that, oh, I need to become conscious about it. Because what we don't realize is that we pick up habits from the time we are born. Our parents are constantly teaching us habits in the way that they are interacting with us. When we look at them smiling and we smile, that's again a habit that we're creating at that point of time. You can call it instinct, you cannot, but I'm saying that over a period of time, it becomes habitual to us. And most of the habits are like this. We've created them without thinking, without being conscious about them. Your parents have a sweet dish after every meal, so you started having a sweet dish after every meal. You weren't consciously choosing it. It became a part of you. So the whole idea is, how do we move from these unconscious, subconscious habits to something that we can actually start consciously creating? And creating those habits is very important for us.
And why?
Because ultimately, the life that you want resides on the other side of the actions and the thoughts that you have today. So if you don't create those actions and thoughts today, then the life that you want will never happen. So it's very critical for you to understand what is it that life is, what is it that you want, and then what are the things I need to do now for it. And habits are the easiest way of making that change.
I see. And so you coach many people. When it comes to habits, what are the biggest challenges that you see your clients go through in terms of habits?
So one of the biggest challenges is when people say, oh, I'm too lazy. So they're coming with the mindset of, I cannot do this. I've tried it in the past and I failed, it's not going to happen. So they're coming defeated. right? So that is one big challenge that you have to slowly overcome. What's interesting is that most of the habits that you need to work on first with the clients are all habits of the mind and of the thoughts. Because once the brain and the mind is aligned with you, then you can start creating physical habits. So sometimes
I
it takes
see.
about a month or two just for them to get rid of their past baggage, challenge their belief systems that they have, before they're comfortable enough saying, okay, now I know what you're talking about, and I'm confident enough that if you say, let's go exercise at 7 o'clock every day, I will do it. But if I start telling people now we'll exercise at 7 o'clock every day and this is the way to build a habit, very often it does not stick because the mind is still saying, no, 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 this is not what it's supposed to be like. I don't think I'll be able to do it. I'm a lazy person. Oh, my knees are bad. Oh, my this is bad. So working on all those aspects before you actually put a physical habit in is where the actual coaching comes in.
And how do I know what is an important habit for me?
So the way to do this is to do what we call intention setting.
Oh,
Okay, so in habit coaching, motivation is a bad word. So motivation is a word that if somebody uses is like, oh my God, what did you say? You can't use this word here. So motivation, why is it a bad word? Because it doesn't last. It's like a matchstick. In my book, Change Your Habits, Change Your Life, I talk about it as a matchstick. You light it, it burns bright, it's very hot, but it does not last long. You cannot cook your Maggi noodles on it. You cannot fry eggs on it. You have to use that to light something that is slow burning. And the slow burning one is your intention and your habits. So your intention is the why behind you wanting to make a change. So if it is just because my parents told me, or it's because something else happened, or it's what an Instagram influencer is currently doing, it's not a strong enough reason for you to be making that
see.
change. So you have to dig deep to arrive at something, and then that is what you use for your change.
so what you're saying is that the habits, they're very powerful when they have a strong intention behind, right?
Because when life gets hard, it's the intention
Yeah.
that'll keep you going.
Exactly.
And life does get hard for all of us.
Give me an example of an intention, for example. How it is like, how do we set an intention?
So the example I give in the book again, and this is the one that I love giving, is a client comes and tells me that, Ashdin, I want to start learning yoga. So I was like, fantastic. Why do you want to learn yoga? So she said, I want to learn yoga to become flexible. So you ask why 3 times. So it's called the 3 why technique. So you ask why 3 times. So I said, why do you want to learn yoga? So she's answer was, I want to become flexible. Fantastic. Why do you want to become flexible? I want to become flexible so that I can sit on the floor. Okay. Why do you want to sit on the floor? I want to sit on the floor so that I can play with my child. My child is on the floor all the time, and I can't bend down and play with my child because I'm so not flexible. I want to become flexible. And you see, the intention is so strong because now it's connected to, if I don't do yoga, I won't be able to play with my child. Instead of, if I don't do yoga, there's no consequence. If I don't do yoga, okay, fine, it's my mat that is collecting dust. So in that way, you create a very, very strong intention of what it is that you want to do.
Yeah. So, for example, when people think about, okay, I'm going to do yoga. No, I'm going to do yoga. What I'm doing here is I'm getting ready to be able to play more with my kids. And that changes our narrative and also our inner motivation, right?
Absolutely. So my desire is to play with that child.
Yeah.
Now yoga is my path for that desire, which is why I want the yoga habit.
Yeah. Yeah. For example, and the same happens, for example, I do that. For example, the gym, going to the gym is the same. Oh, I have to go to the gym. No, I'm going to get more energy. So that I can have a better life, to do the things that I love. So from going to the gym to do the things that I love,
Correct.
because I go to the gym, it completely changes, right?
It completely changes the way that you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, for example, one of my favorite things to replace. So I love language habits.
Yeah.
Okay, most of us use words like I have to do this.
Yes.
So you replace have to with get to. So I have to come for this podcast. No, I get to come for this podcast, right? You change the word and you change your attitude towards it.
Yeah.
So my father says, Ashdin, where are you going? Oh, I have to go for this podcast. It's like a downer.
Yeah.
I get to go to this podcast. Wow. Yay. Congratulations.
Yeah.
So it's this attitude that we need to start looking and observing and saying, You know, what are all our escape words that we use? Oh, I'm going to try to do this, you know. And one of my favorite things to do is tell people that, all right, try picking up this pencil. And they'll be like, try picking it up, meaning what? There's a trick here. No, you can pick it up, right? Why do you need to try to do something? The word try automatically adds a pause before an action takes place. So you either do it or you don't, but there's no try as a word in that.
I love that. Is so powerful. Give me another example, because I love what you said about the little habits that we use with our language, that they impact us so negatively. And sometimes it's just a shift in terms of the word. Give us another example.
So whenever you're going to, I want to start a podcast.
Yes.
How many people have you heard saying, I want to start a podcast?
A lot.
Okay. How many have you heard saying, I will start a podcast?
Yeah.
So changing want to will.
Yes.
So, oh, I want to get a salary increase. No, I will get a salary increase. Now, if you say I will do it, is a commitment to it. When you say I want it, it's a wish and a dream. So realizing the power of those words in what it is that you want to change. So want is wish and dream. Yeah, I want everything.
Yeah.
But what am I willing to do for it? So I will do those things that I'm willing to do.
Yeah, so I love it. So you gave an example. Don't use I have to, but use I get to.
I get
and
to.
another example is or I want to, replace with I will.
I will do it.
Very cool. All right, so much to unpack here just in this first
The
beginning.
words that we say are so powerful.
It
There was
is.
a lovely Instagram post I read the other day saying that you know why they're called spellings when we write things down. It's because all of them have a spell in them. So be careful about what you say.
Yeah.
It's like the word abracadabra. You know, abracadabra is abracadabra. So abracadabra means as I say, so it shall be. So that is what the spell of abracadabra means. So that is how each of the things we say needs to transform.
Very good. You know, when you look at like all, I know that you coach many people. What is one habit that normally when you see that people focus on that habit, it has a large impact in our overall life?
Communication habits, I think, are a big one.
Like?
Are you talking with clarity or not? Are you communicating what you actually want? Are you constantly trying to play it from somebody else's perspective? Are you open to conversations? So having hard conversations is actually one of the easiest things to do. We think hard conversations are difficult to do. But when you have a hard conversation, it is something that was on your mind all this while. It was something on somebody else's mind all this while. Both of you all were wishing somebody brought up the topic. But once you bring it up and it's out in the open, it's so easy to have these conversations. Like, for example, if you go to somebody's funeral, right, you're so scared of going and telling the person, you know, my condolences, etc. That person's like, oh, now this person's going to come and talk. There's tension in the air. Those hard conversations are actually the easiest to have. Even if you're in a relationship and you're going to break up with somebody, having those hard conversations earlier on is far better than waiting for something to deteriorate before you get into it. So communication, I think, plays a very important role, especially in the workplace.
Yes.
Because the way that you talk to your subordinates, the way you talk to your bosses, the way you talk to everybody makes a big difference. Relationships, people at home, are you constantly gaslighting people and not knowingly? So are you using words like, you should be doing this, you have to do this, right? Those words are emotionally manipulative words. So how do you move away from those words? So focusing on the things that you utter, I think makes a very big difference. So communication is one of the habits that really changes somebody's life.
And I think like what people don't realize, for example, having difficult conversations, the more we do it, you know, the better we get at it.
The better we get at it.
The same with negotiation, you know, the same with communication. So what you say is that when we create habits about that, but intentional, that has a very strong impact in our life.
Correct. It's
right?
like what you said. So what is the intention behind negotiation? What's the intention behind difficult conversations? The intention behind difficult conversation is to have an easy life.
That's it.
The more difficult, if you stay away from difficult conversations, your life gets harder and harder.
Yes.
Negotiation, what is the intention? It's not to get the best deal, but it is to get a win-win situation.
Yeah.
So if your intention is right, the outcome comes very naturally.
Yeah. So maybe now you can give us an example of a transformation story that you've seen in one of your clients.
So there was a client who was running a big company, actually inherited a big company, and was trying to figure out now how to run it. Right? Because these companies are grown with other people, etc., etc., etc. So all their skills were all over the place. They were very good at one aspect, but not necessarily the managerial aspect of it. So having managerial habits is something very, very important that we need to figure out. So what does that mean? So how do you handle your to-do list? Right? Many people are overwhelmed because their to-do lists have 35, 40 things inside them. So a simple thing like this is the way that I structure to-do lists for people. Anything that can be done under 2 minutes, do it now. So if it's a phone call to make a reservation somewhere, if it's a quick phone call to check on something, anything in your to-do list that's 2 minutes or less, do it now. Anything that's 2 minutes or more gets scheduled. So anything in 2 minutes, you don't use your to-do list anymore, but you use your calendar. Many of us don't use a calendar. The third aspect is anything that you don't need to do gets done by somebody else. So somebody else can do it just as well as you or better, somebody else does it for you. I had a client who runs this huge business who was spending half an hour trying to book concert tickets and then complaining about time to me. So I was like, you realize where it's going. So these little habits make a big difference. So what I tell my clients in the workspace to do is first start by time sheeting. Many clients don't time sheet. They don't know where their time is going. So we list down all the activities that they do, and then we put like half an hour or 1 hour, that kind of slots in it, and then you have a full list. So for example, on my phone, there's a little time sheet that's right there on the desktop. So through the day, like for example, this conversation will go into the timesheet. The next conversation I'm having, that's a coffee conversation just downstairs, will go into the timesheet. And everything goes there, so I know where my life is going.
Yeah.
As businesses, as professionals, we don't value that. And we keep saying that time is our resource, but we don't know where it's going. Another lovely thing, especially now in the day of like Instagram and YouTube addiction, is at the end of the day, look at your phone, it tells you how much time you spend on Instagram, how much time you spend on YouTube, put that into your timesheet. Right? We just think of it as wasted time, but once you start seeing, oh my God, I did 2 hours today, I did 1.5 hours today, then you start actually making a change. Then the example I was telling you the other day, I can share, which was that there was a client who used to work 7 days a week, and he is big industrialist. Like if I tell you his name, you'll know who exactly this person is. And 7 days a week. And I was like, but what about family time? He's like, yeah, I really want to spend time with my family. I want to spend time with my son. I want to do all these things. So when are you going to spend time? I don't know. Fantastic. I banned him from going to school or going to office on Sundays. So now he's like, fine, grudgingly. He said, okay, Sundays I won't go. A couple of weeks I asked him, how is it? Sundays are fine. So I said, no more going on Saturdays. He's like, you're an idiot. You don't know anything. How can I not go to work on Saturday? My company was shut down. 2 weeks later, I asked him, how's it going? He said, no, everything's fine. I said, fantastic. Now, no going to work on Wednesday. Then you should have seen, it was a small volcano erupted. Impossible, Ashdin, you're an idiot. You don't know what it means to run such a big company. Everyone's waiting for me to come to office, etc. I said, trust me, 1 week, don't go to office, see what happens. So 1 week, he didn't go to office on Wednesdays. He fell in love with the system. So he said, I'm not going to office on Thursdays from now onwards. So from 7 days a week, now he went to office 3 days a week. But what he did was he created the systems that could run without him. And he was saying, Ashdin, this entire office is running far better without me than when I'm in it. Why am I going to office? So he started going for golf. He started going for all these other things that he always wanted to do that he couldn't do because of the belief system that he had to be at work throughout. So that's another way of transforming your life.
Yeah. Very good. It's just like sometimes we are not aware about it. And what I like is when you did in the first example was first just be aware where your time and energy goes. And just there's a huge breakthrough is just understanding, am I spending all this time on Instagram? Am I spending all this time doing this? And that's where it starts with awareness,
Correct.
right?
It starts with awareness, and then now what do I do about it?
Exactly.
Okay, so I'll put a timer on Instagram.
Yeah.
I'll uninstall Instagram or whichever way that you want to do it. I had people come to me who were like showing me the to-do list and they suddenly realized, oh, this was in 2019. Why is it still on my list? So they hadn't reviewed their list completely since then. So it's interesting how we use to-do lists.
Yeah. Now, if for people who are watching us, what are the 3 things that they can do in order to build healthy habits in our lives?
So in the book, I talk about the 3 golden rules of habit change,
Yeah.
which is make it stupidly small, make it extremely easy, and never miss 2 days in a row.
Okay.
Stupidly small means that if you don't do this, you should feel stupid not doing it. That is the reason I've chosen this word. And I know that it's like a word that you're like, oh, you're stupid. How can you say stupid? But it means that it was such a tiny thing to do. You know, like I just had to pick up the glass and drink it, but I still didn't do it. How can I not? You know, you feel stupid not doing it. So make it stupidly small. Taking the yoga as an example. So that person who wanted to do yoga, a stupidly small habit for yoga would be not half an hour of yoga or joining a class or 15 Surya Namaskars. A stupidly small habit for yoga is rolling out the yoga mat and sitting on it.
I love it. Yeah.
You can roll out the yoga mat.
Yeah.
Correct. It's very easy to do. There's no, meaning you can't say, I don't have time to roll out a yoga mat. Right? Now that you've sat on that yoga mat, maybe you'll do a little stretching. Maybe you'll do a plank. Maybe you'll do a Surya Namaskar. Maybe you'll sit up straight. Something will happen. If you had said that I will do this for half an hour, none of it would have happened.
Yeah.
So you've gone from 0 to at least something. So that's an infinite increase. Then the next golden rule of habit change is make it extremely easy. Extremely easy. Extremely easy means what? You have to remove all the friction from the process. So wherever an excuse could come in, you have to remove it from that. If that same lady had taken that yoga mat, rolled it up and kept it on top of her cupboard, that she needed a stool to get every single time, there's too many steps there. She would make excuses every time for that. So instead what we do is we say, okay, if you're rolling it down here, keep the yoga mat right next to the place where you're going to do yoga. So you pick it up and put it. Now it's extremely easy. The excuses go away. Every time you have an excuse, you've realized that the habit is not extremely easy. So you made it extremely easy. Now the third golden rule of habit change is never miss 2 days in a row. So this is the rule on consistency. Many people say, I'm not consistent. And I start something and I stop it. Or every time I stop, now I think I'm useless, I can't continue. So the goal here is you're human, you're not a robot. It is okay if you can't do something on one day. It's okay if you fall sick.
Yeah.
It's okay if your daughter falls sick. It's okay if you have to go for a wedding, no problem. But never miss 2 days. So if you did something the first day, did something the second day, third day, you fell sick, couldn't do it, no issue. Your habit coach, Ashdin Doctor, is not going to shout at you. But on the 4th day, make sure you do it. Come what may. If you miss it on the 4th day, you will get a thappad. Right? So you have to realize that these steps are essential in order to build consistency. Because if you miss 2 days in a row, missing is now the new habit.
Yes.
And this is what you're training for then. And which is why we become experts at excuses. Which is why we become experts at coming up with different stories on why you can't do things. And people have all sorts of stories there. It's amazing.
People are very creative, right?
Very creative, very creative.
Okay, but sometimes life gets on the way.
Oh, so that's another very interesting habit.
Yes?
What you just did. So you started the continuing of a sentence with but.
Yes.
You were saying words that change. So
Yes.
we're in a stand-up club right now. So they have this thing called improv, which is
Yes.
improvisation.
Yeah.
So improvisation habit is that you never start a sentence with but.
Oh, I see.
So if I say something and you say but, it means that I've just rubbished everything you said. Now I'm going to tell you something else.
True.
So in improv, you always say yes and.
Yeah.
So a yes and habit is a great communication technique. So you asked me what words to replace. I thought this was a brilliant way of seeing it. So this yes and then the conversation can flow.
So whatever you told me, it is true. And what about when when life gets on the way? How do I get consistent about a habit? Give me some tips.
So there are multiple forms of habits and we need to understand this. So not all habits are things that we have to take action on continuously. So there are things called habitat habits that I call them, which are habits that are around you. So having an air purifier in your room is something that changes the environment around you, which is a habit. So you're already getting good quality air by having something there. Switching from white salt to pink salt automatically boosts the quality of your food. Changing from seed oils to ghee or butter or olive oil changes the quality of your nutrition. So these habits are very, very simple to change. You change them once, they last you for the rest of your life. Right?
Oh, I see.
We don't look at those things as habits, but you use that oil every day, right? So instead of every day choosing what oil I'm going to use, if you've changed it once, you're always going to have that as a habit that you continue. So the easiest habits are those to change. So look around your house and say, if I swap this for this, will my life improve? Fantastic. It's something I'm using every day. Let me do that. So those are habitat habits. So those are easy to incorporate in life.
Yeah.
When life gets hard, you go back to your intention. Why am I doing this?
Yes.
Right? Many of us don't have clear intentions in life. We don't know what we want from life. So it starts by getting this in place. What is it that you want from life? Where do you want to go? What is it that you want to achieve? I want a girlfriend. Fantastic. Why do you want a girlfriend? I think it's time now. Like, I need some companionship. But the intention behind that is not that. Like, one of my favorite things to ask is, Ashdin, it's so hard to find a partner these days. Okay, fantastic. What kind of person do you want? Oh, they have a full list. Great. And my next question is, what are you willing to give this person? And that list they don't have, right? They've never thought about how are they enriching the other person's life. These little things make such a big difference in the way that we interact with people and the way that our habits are.
Yeah, I really love that because
I think I segued off into another conversation, but
no, no, but I really like, because consistency. A lot of times people lose a connection with the why they are doing.
Yeah.
And that's what I like. So go back to the basic, to why you want this.
Correct.
And that will make you feel that, okay, I have to do this. Or I get to do this.
I get to do this. There you go. It's like, for example, a relationship is what? A relationship is two people growing together.
Yes.
That means you need to know what you're giving the other person for you all to grow together, right? So the intention behind the relationship has to be clear.
Yeah. What is the process that normally you take your clients through in order to help them to create habits?
So the way that we work is we work for 3 months at a time, in slots of 3 months. We meet every week. So once a week for about an hour and a half. And the purpose of these meetings is, one, to have epiphanies. Epiphanies are like, oh, I didn't know about this. And in that process, change belief systems. Like, oh, I didn't realize that I was actually trying to manipulate my son by saying, you should be doing this, you should be doing this, you should be doing this. Right? That's an epiphany. The second is we review what has happened in the past week. What are the things we can learn? What are the things we need to tweak with regards to the habits that they're following? And what are the things that we need to change for the coming week? So in that way, there's a systematic way of making a change. I don't like creating a very structured approach for my clients, because each of them are very, very different people. And since I'm doing one-on-one coaching and it's expensive, I'm not taking too many people on. It is for me that each person is unique in that aspect. But when we're doing, for example, workshops, or when we're doing a group program, then it's very structured. Everyone's doing this together. Everyone's doing that together. And each of us are our own accountability partners.
Okay, I see. And how to keep track of our habits?
So the best way of doing this is so there are multiple ways of tracking your habits. The easiest is a post-it note. So you have a post-it note, you write down what habit you want to do, and then you just put tally marks.
Okay.
And you know that in 1 week you want to do this 5 times, so you see if you've got 5 tally marks. So that's the easiest way of doing it. I've had clients prefer this method and just send me a picture.
Okay.
So that's easy. There are some clients who are a little more geeky, who enjoy Excel sheets. So we have a Google sheet where you put 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 on the days you did the habit, 0 on the days you did not, and then it totals up your number of times you did it versus what you promised yourself you would be doing. So your commitment was 7 times a week, but you did it 6 times a week. So there's 1 day gap. So we try and get 0 day gaps in that. There are obviously habit tracking apps that exist on the phone. You can use that as well. If you are a CEO, MD, have an executive assistant, using your executive assistant as your habit tracker is one of the best things that you can do.
Okay.
It falls into her KRAs, make sure that all my medicines come on time and you track them for me. So you're outsourcing these things as much as possible.
So what you say is it's important to track your habits. Now, every person find the best way that they feel more comfortable doing it, right? That's your message.
According to their personality.
Exactly.
Right? Like
Yeah.
somebody hates Excel sheets
Yeah.
and I'm trying to make them open an Excel sheet every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not going to like it.
Very good. So we understood habits are very powerful. You also gave us like what are the rules in order to set up the habits. Now, for people who love what you're saying but might be a bit overwhelmed, like what is the smallest thing that they can do now in order to start the journey?
The best thing you can do right now is to just become aware of every action and thought that you start having. So if you're having a conversation with your mom and your mom said something and you instinctively reacted in a particular way, stop and say, oh, why did I say that? Because that is a habitual reply. If you promise yourself that you're going to be on a diet and you picked up a chocolate without thinking, notice that you did that. Become aware that you did that. And then say, oh, is it because I passed by this area so often that I see the chocolate? Maybe I need to put the chocolate in the cupboard or give it to my neighbor. So you start becoming aware. The smallest aspect you can do is start becoming aware. Then obviously you can go on the Habit Coach podcast. They've got like 1,500 episodes that you can search for a habit that you want. So if you're looking at sleep habits, listen to all the sleep episodes. If you want like productivity habits, there's so many productivity episodes. So you can then identify which things you want to start working on. We've got episodes on procrastination because that's one of the big things for people. So, and procrastination is a habit. So how do you get over procrastination and things like that?
Okay. So one of the topics that you say it's very popular, it's procrastination, right?
The number of people that, like if you're in an event, and how many procrastinators here, the number of hands that go up is insane.
Like, what is the one thing for people who procrastinate?
So we procrastinate for 3 reasons. We procrastinate when something is too easy to do. We procrastinate when something is too hard to do. We procrastinate when our body or our mind is telling us we need to protect ourselves from something. So these are 3 reasons why we procrastinate. When something's too hard to do, we say it's future Ashdin's problem. So then the habit is to break it up into small parts that are achievable right now. If something is too easy to do, like all I had to do was forward my credit card bill to my accountant. But I didn't do that. And now I have a late fee. It was the easiest thing to do. But I could do it anytime, so it kept getting procrastinated. So it wasn't hard. It was just too easy. So all the too easy things fall into that 2-minute rule of to-do list that I spoke about earlier and get done now. And if something is, and if you procrastinate on something, you can't figure it out. For example, many people procrastinate on writing presentations because they have a fear of public speaking. They're like, oh, everyone's going to laugh at me. So they try and push the presentation, hoping the presentation doesn't happen. Right? So you go back and you say that, what am I scared of? What are you trying to protect me from? Procrastination, you're my friend. Tell me, what are you trying to protect me from? And then you understand, is there any truth to this? If there's no truth to this, you start working on it. If there's truth to this, figure out what you can do to protect yourself and then continue.
I really, really love that.
So I like looking at things as steps that you can follow, because then it becomes so easy. We look at these big words like procrastination, half the time we can't spell them. And then we wonder, what do we do with them?
So coming to you, what has been the most difficult habit for you to change?
So the toughest habit, which most of us have, is phone addiction. Right? I can see people behind the scenes exactly doing that right now as well. So phone addiction is just like, we constantly on it. We go to the washroom, we pick it up. We wake up in the morning, we look at it. And I keep, and whenever I'm at giving like talks and stuff, and people ask me this question, what do I do about my phone? I tell them that, listen, understand that people with billions of dollars are trying to get you addicted to it, right? They are spending billions of dollars on techniques to get you addicted to it. What chance does our little brain have against it, right? So first, stop feeling guilty about it. Remove the shame around it, because otherwise you'll never make a change if the guilt is constantly on you. Realize that you're being tricked. Realize that somebody is trying to pull a fast one on you. And if you can realize that, now say, how do I fight this person who's trying to trick me? Because we don't like being tricked, right? We don't like being tricked. We're like, no, but there's so much entertainment coming. Correct, but why do you need to be entertained? Right? Yeah, but there's so much content on Instagram, but why is there scrolling happening constantly? You pick up your phone for 30 seconds and you're on it for 30 minutes. So understand that this is the way that you have to start thinking about. I am being tricked. Now what can I do about it? What I've started doing is I've started putting my phone on airplane mode as much as possible. I've stopped putting my phone next to me as much as possible. So like my phone is there somewhere right now. And I've started putting timers on all my apps that I use. So for example, the two big apps are Instagram and YouTube that suck up my time. And I was saying that if I'm spending 2 hours, one on Instagram, one on YouTube, we just think, oh, it's just 2 hours. But that's like almost 10% of your day that goes into it.
Yeah.
So you start realizing, no, I need to start making these changes and be just conscious about them to begin with.
Very good. So, and how did you do it? Like, what was so you already mentioned, what was anything else that you did to overcome that?
So for me, it was airplane mode.
Yes.
So I have a thing where I say that at least 2 hours of the day, the phone should be on airplane mode.
Cool.
So at least you're getting back 2 hours from your life.
Yeah.
The second is that when I'm working on my projects, I use the Pomodoro technique. I'm sure you must have done lots of episodes on Pomodoro. So in the Pomodoro technique, again, the phone goes back on airplane mode. It's far away. It's put in a drawer. I don't know if you remember when mobile phones first came out and we got mobile phones. When we reached the office, we used to switch off our phone and put it in our desk. You remember this, dude?
Yeah.
So our phones used to be switched off and kept in our desk because they were considered a distraction. And if anybody wanted to reach you, they'll call you on your landline. Now we are on our laptop with our phone in front of us. Our phone is playing a video. We are trying to work on a presentation. How are we going to focus on that presentation? When we look at when we admire people who've learned so much and done so much, what we miss is their focus and their ability to focus. We are sabotaging our ability to focus. We're becoming like drones. We don't need to use our brains. Now let's start using our brains a little.
Very good. We're coming to the end, and I want to ask you the last question, which is, what is the one thing that you want people to remember from this conversation?
The quality of the habits that you create today will determine the quality of your life in the future. If you start creating good quality habits, that's the direction that your life is going to take. Right? You can't make a habit and then wish for something else. The old adage, right? If you plant an apple tree, seed, you'll get an apple tree. You can't plant an apple tree and hope for an orange. So choose the habits wisely now for the life you want in the future.
Kya baat hai?
Kya baat hai? Love it.
Very good. Ashdin, it was really a pleasure.
Thank you. Same here.
Thank you for coming and to adding so much value to our audience.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. You have a beautiful setup here. Thank you.